Eh. Clicked on the wrong thing. Ah, fuck! There we go. I forgot to get rid of the options. Oops. Hello, people. Hello, not people. Hello, everybody who is or isn't here. It is time for One Piece.
It is time.
It is the day of One Piece, in which we are going to rank all of the current arcs that are out. Let me change up the music here a little bit. Let's grab some nice chill music to listen to. Just like that. How loud is that for you guys?
I mean, we have volume control.
That's true.
Yeah.
I need to be a little able to be heard. Alright. Anyway, okay, so.
No.
What?
No.
No, we just.
Yeah, I know.
Doing stuff, doing things. That might be a little too loud. At least for me. There we go. Yes. So, we're going to get this one out of the way right now, which is why it's at the front of the list. And that is the current arc that has just begun in the anime and has been going for quite a while in the manga. We're not going to talk about too many details of it other than what has already been shown on stream. I mean, like in the anime. And that's about it. But it's got its own category. Egghead is going in the recency bias category because it's really good. From the information that I know, it's very good. From the information that Robbie knows, I don't know what his full opinion or partial opinion is on it yet. If you would like to provide, you can.
I mean, it's definitely going to be solid.
But yeah, so recency bias, we're not going to talk about it anymore. Spoilers will only be for up to Wano for anybody who is watching who hasn't fully caught up with the series. But yeah, so the arc that started it all, the very first one, which is Romance Dawn, it doesn't really go to too much. It doesn't really cover too much stuff. It really only goes up to when Zoro joins the crew, but a good amount of stuff does happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just Luffy's origin of the fruit and whatnot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's.
Do they even get that in there?
So in the manga and the anime, they pretty much do, but the manga like literally starts with him as Tiny Luffy doing that whole thing where he gets the fruit and the Shanks loses his arm and all that.
I mean, I'd like to say it is important, but it's definitely not like top tier.
It's not like
I mean,
I wouldn't call it a top tier arc because for one, it's very short, but it is important because it does sort of help set the tone, not just with the whole thing with Shanks and Luffy and all that, but also we get more of a look into what Luffy is like early on with his dealing with Alvida, and of course the way he handles Zoro.
It has to be important enough because it's probably the most recurring arc because they flash back to that quite a lot through the series.
It's true.
Thankfully, not as much as the swing.
Oh, Naruto swing. Yeah.
Yep, the Naruto swing.
Yeah.
The Naruto swing that literally has more screen time than Sakura.
I think I blacked that out of my memory. Oh my god.
Yeah, although I will say in comparison, in Sadness, it's when they start flashing back to Laboon. That's what does it for me.
Well, we haven't even gotten to Reverse Island yet, or Reverse Mountain yet.
Yep.
Anyway,
yeah.
I would say like as your standard, like as a standard introduction arc for a new series, I would say Romance Dawn is like a nice B tier, just like a good middle of the road. Not a lot of crazy stuff happens yet, especially compared to One Piece, but it does good setup, and it of course introduces one of the best characters in the entire series, which is Zoro. Everybody loves Zoro.
I'd say that's fitting. It also sets up the tier list.
It also sets up the tier list. Orange Island or Orange Town. See, now there are many ways that this could go. We could go the meme route that this is S tier because it introduces probably one of the most well-known characters in the series.
Yeah.
I remember when, for some reason, Tumblr would not stop recommending me. Buggy's nurse blogs. That's what I'll call them.
I'm gonna hold reservation and say it's an A because, like, Buggy, they expand on Buggy so much more in later arcs.
In later arcs, in this, go ahead.
I mean, that's kind of like saying that Romance Dawn should actually be an S tier because it introduces Luffy and Zoro and Shanks. We gotta focus on what's actually in.
And also, it kind of technically introduced hockey at the same time. Yeah, no, I get where Tamer's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to go on the merits of the actual arc itself. Yeah, it helps to at least set up the dynamic between the first three members of the crew, since that's also where Nami is introduced. Because while she's go ahead.
Sorry, you first.
Okay.
No, my thing is derailer from Nami.
Okay. While she's antagonistic during this arc, of course, because pirates and all that, she starts to like see exactly what kind of person both Luffy and Zoro actually are, and that maybe she shouldn't just judge based on the fact that they're pirates right off the bat. And also, this is like the last time that Buggy is actually kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's an A tier. I can't say that, but go ahead.
I'd actually kind of put it at B tier because, one, it does establish the dynamic between the three, but also it really establishes even more who Luffy is.
Yeah.
Because he's held at literal cannon point.
Just doesn't care.
And does not give a fuck. He has full faith in Nami. And also, let's be honest, the dog fucking made us cry.
The dog did make us cry. That was the first time the first time that Oda made us cry for something we shouldn't care about.
I'd say if it's not A tier, it's definitely high.
It has to be high B if we're going B.
I'm fine with high
like,
B. I'm fine with it being the temporary top of the B tier. Yes, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because it is much better than Romance.
Yes, I mean you can only get better than Romance Dawn. Like honestly, that's why Romance Dawn is in B, because it's like the middle standard essentially for what we expect from One Piece. Syrup Village, on the other hand, now I am sure that Robbie is going to have a different opinion from me. I don't like Syrup Village. I really don't.
That's Usopp's village.
That's where
Yeah,
Usopp is introduced. Yes, we got Clawhador and the whole thing with the rich kid and all that. I don't like it.
It's kind of right there with you.
Okay, cool.
It feels kind of like Oda was still trying to find his style.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I always skip this arc whenever I do a rewatch of the series. If I don't just start directly from Baratier, to be totally honest.
Yeah. I will admit, though, Usopp's personal story,
Yes.
is good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't give it an F. I would say
No.
D.
Wait, I don't have F. There's no One Piece arc that's going to be an F. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah, I'd put it in D tier then.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was thinking
fitting.
I was thinking more C tier, but it seems like D
C-tier?
tier is the consensus.
Yeah, it's mostly because our overall feelings are, it had some good parts, but overall we skip it on rewatches. Anything that we would skip on a rewatch should probably go into D.
Oh, so should I
That's
move
very
Long
fitting.
Land into D tier now?
Oh yeah, just do that already. But we'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay, I'm just gonna put Foxy where he belongs, in the trash.
Yeah, so right after
moment.
Skypiea, we'll just give a brief moment to say about Hungering Longland.
Look, I know the manga version was much better for those who were watching that only read the manga, but the anime version was so fucking drawn out, I just couldn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, let's face it, it was like a way to have canon filler.
Pretty much. So Baratier, upon a recent rewatch, by the way, because me and Tamer have been watching with King and Turtle, and occasionally just me watching with King and Turtle. Baratier is so short.
It's very short.
It's very short.
It is a very good arc.
It is good arc.
My only real downside with it is the villain is not that great for me.
Don Krieg drags down the arc. Now,
I will say this though. Ooh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I will say this though. Someone that I watched on YouTube who actually put it well on what Don Krieg's real purpose is. Don Krieg is there to show that Luffy is not here to play around with the small fish.
Yeah.
He doesn't fall for the cheap tricks. He is his. He's like, aha! You can't beat me in my spiked cloak. And Luffy just punches him right through it.
Yeah.
He is not on Don Krieg's level. Don Krieg is below him.
I was about to say Don Krieg is not on his level.
Yeah, sorry. That I was trying to. I messed it up.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's just
it does have a point to set the bar,
and it does do that well.
It sets the bar in both ways because it both sets the bar for Luffy's not gonna fall for standard shonen cheap trick villains. He is not here for that.
Yeah.
And it also, very importantly, sets the high bar for hey, here's what the top of the world looks like.
Right.
Hey, because that's also where we get introduced to Mihawk.
We get it. Yeah, that is where Mihawk gets introduced, slicing up that
big
old
he does,
galleon
right?
like butter.
Yeah. And also that duel with Zoro.
The duel with Zoro. Sanji's backstory and like his connection to the Baratier is so good. Like, again, the only thing that really drags down the Baratier for me is Don Krieg, who's just kind of annoying. Everything else around him is really good.
Yeah, and even Don Krieg's annoyance does have half of a part. Like, I'm not going to say it's good, because if he was portrayed better as hey, this is the level that Luffy is not even going to bother with, it would have been better. But he does drag it on. He does make it annoying. And we do have to dock it for that. But otherwise, I'd say it's a good...
I call A. I say A tier.
A?
I say
okay,
A tier.
Yeah, it's a high A for me.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason I start at Baratier on a rewatch in most cases, is because this is just a good time the whole way around. Except for just that one thing.
I like Usopp as a character, but Sanji was the first to have a real, like, hard-hitting story behind his.
Yeah.
For me.
Why is it?
Oh, yeah, because this all... Not gonna lie, whenever I think of Sanji backstory, I keep thinking of, like, how...
Weird.
I keep forgetting about the island bit, and Zeph eating his own leg.
There we go.
Yeah, definitely A.
Yeah.
Definitely A.
Well, depends on the version you watch. We gotta specify that all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like it was, you have to go on the manga, because they would have, but they were scared to animate
the
that.
The problem isn't that we have to go on the manga. It's more the fact that not everybody knows about what happened in the manga, because there are a lot of people who are specifically just anime only, and like, even I think didn't even like the live action follow that same route where his leg was lost and he didn't eat it? Or am I misremembering?
It was
No,
implied.
he ate it in the live action.
That's right, it was implied he ate
We
it.
saw the bloody rock.
Right.
Yeah, it was implied and not.
It wasn't just
actually
expressly
shown.
said, but yeah, so just for those of you who are specifically only to the anime and you've never really touched the manga or watched anybody talk about it from the manga perspective, in in the anime, his foot gets cut off by the chain. He sacrifices it, blah, blah, blah. In the manga, he literally cut off his own leg after giving Sanji all of the food, which is just insane. But yeah, so you always gotta just put that in there, unfortunately, because that's one of the major changes that confuse a lot of people.
He was the first big mentor in the show, like, as well.
So
aside from, I guess, if you want to count Shanks.
So what arcs have we done so far, King? Well, they're on screen. We've ranked Baratier, Orange Town, Romance Dawn, Syrup Village, and Long Ring Long Land is just done because, I think we all kind of have a somewhat similar opinion. We're about to go into Arlong, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, what we have watched, like, literally, King? Arlong Park we barely started it. Yeah. We're we're about halfway. Oh god, I just remembered. Where we left off is like the episode that's just before Nami's backstory.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Oh no. Hey, I'm just gonna preemptively do this because this is literally one of the benchmark arcs.
Yeah.
S tier.
Yeah.
This is quite literally if you can get them to watch the anime, you get them to watch until Arlong Park. If they're not hooked by Arlong Park, they won't get hooked by anything in One Piece.
They won't care. That is like literally all there is to it. Because Arlong Park has so much going for it that makes for a really good just One Piece arc in general. You got a villain that you hate the hell out of, who we do kind of get somewhat more information on his motivation later, but he's also not a total bastard because he actually does care about the people around him. Like, we're like on the level of if we had to compare him to the guy who fucking modeled himself after what his ideal of Arlong was, that being Horty Jones, who would literally sacrifice his fucking members for no reason whatsoever in many cases, when he could have just like dodged. Whereas with Arlong, if somebody takes down like one of his crewmates, he's actually pissed about it and hates will try to get revenge for them legitimately, not just fake rage.
Yeah, you said it best though. It is legitimately the first villain that actually you hate. You really
Arlong
it gets you there.
Terrible person. Yes, the plight of the fishmen is terrible and it's understandable, but that doesn't mean that what Arlong is doing, specifically what Arlong is doing, is in any way just able to be like waved off as it was what he could do. It's the only thing he could do. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Also, we really gotta commend Arlong Park for something. This is the first of Luffy, he helps resolve someone's trauma by beating the shit out of it.
By beating the shit out of it and not knowing shit about it. At the same time, because when Luffy gets the opportunity to hear the backstory for Nami, why she's doing what she's doing, and all of that, he's just like, nah, I don't care. I'm going for a walk. So when he finds her later on, after she's broken down and stabbed her arm and all of that, he doesn't know shit about what's going on. He just sees his friend crying, bleeding, and he's just like waiting for her to ask him for help. Because he doesn't want to get involved until he is asked to be helped, which is just a very Luffy thing in many cases.
Also, I can't remember, is this the first instance of Overtaken?
I think so. Because this is also like the first anime, like the walk towards the big bad guy.
Yeah, the walk.
Big walk.
Hey, this is the reason why we consider it a benchmark. It's got so many of all the parts that we love about this thing, where even though the same story beats kind of happen again, it's the kind that just gets us going.
It's so good. And then, of course, the walk in an immediate punch.
It sets the high bar.
It does.
For sure.
And just the immediate punch of Arlong once he gets inside is just also great. He didn't sit there and bluster and talk about how he's going to fucking beat up Arlong for hurting Nami. No, he punched him in the face first.
Yep. And also, something that, like, Arlong Hong is the villain, but at some points in the fight, it really just feels like it doesn't feel like he's doing it for Seer Village. He's doing this for Nami.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the only reason why he's doing it, actually. Luffy doesn't really care about the village. He cares about the fact that his friend was hurt and crying and pissed off and everything. That's it. That's his motivation.
And that's why one of his goals is to break that fucking room.
And in a weird way, technically, we also got one of the main motivations for why he ends up helping people all the way back in Orangetown. Because Nami fed him.
Yep.
Which is a constant thing throughout many different arcs, is if you feed Luffy, he will help you.
Also, I wonder when they're finally gonna get Belmere out of that dungeon.
I know, man. Like, she's been down there ever since Arlong Park fell. I can't believe that they never pulled her out.
Robbie, do you know that reference?
Nah, it's been too long.
So, in the 4Kids dub, instead of having Arlong execute Belmere in front of her kids, he just points at her with his hand and says,
"Big old hand.
Send her to the dungeon."
Yeah, so...
And then they just never...
All right.
They never address it.
Yep.
The 4Kids version is just like, we can't kill people, that's bad, but then they don't find a way to at least kind of imply that Bellamere was returned afterwards. So she's either still down there or she died in there. So either way, it's still bad.
Yep.
So Logtown is basically a cleaning the slate arc, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah.
We kind of go into it with the situation of the fact that that it's just kind of, it's not there to be super important, but it is also super important at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Kind of like the tying up loose end. It's the send off to the real start of the series.
That's where Smoker really gets involved, right?
That's where Smoker literally gets involved.
Yep. By the way,
that's his introduction arc.
By the way, I kind of wish that they kept the name Rogue Town. Makes a bit more sense than Log.
Well, it's Logtown.
Logtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but look at that spelling.
Oh, yeah, of course. But then, there's a lot of stuff in One Piece that's spelled weird.
Yeah. Anyways. But yeah. And really this also kind of brings into focus Gold Roger and the One Piece.
It does. Because we get our...
Even though...
Go ahead.
We get that at the beginning of every episode.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know. This is when it gets, addressed in the show.
Right.
Like, hey, we're done making the crew. Now we're actually setting off on the adventure. Because, the East Blue Saga is literally just the crew gets together saga.
The main crew gets together saga, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the main crew.
Yeah. Because there's definitely more people to pick up later down the line.
I'd say this is Lobby.
I would give it I would say it's a little bit over top of Orangetown because it's got some really good moments in it.
Yeah.
Not
also,
go ahead.
Sorry. Also, this is such a minor moment, but I love it. Zoro getting his cursed sword.
Zoro getting his sword. Well, that's one of the moments. Zoro getting his new swords. That he still owes Nami a bunch of money for because she's crazy and has 300% interest even if you give back the money the same day.
Literally just says, no, it's cursed. Okay, then, let's test what's stronger, my luck or this thing's cursed.
Let me throw this thing in the fucking air, hold out my arm, and see if it chops it off or not. Which it definitely would have because when it hits the ground, it sinks into the floor.
It sinks up to its hilt.
Dear God, if it had hit him, he would not have had an arm. We got that. We got
I
the
feel like
introduction.
you guys have Zoro bias.
What
Else is there in this
No
arc?
kidding. Well,
There's actually a really good
I have
anime.
I have one really quick. That is an action.
Yes.
That's not an anime only scene, and that's the execution platform scene.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
the execution platform literally is one of the most defining moments of Luffy's character. Because he is up there, Buggy is going to kill him. There is no question. He would have died there had not fate intervened and, zapped the fuck out of the tower with a lightning bolt, which may or may not have been from Dragon. Who knows? But the point is, he sat there, he fucking smiled up on there just like Gold Roger did the day that he died, and was completely content with the fact that he was not going to make it to his dream because of this.
Not even hit the grand line.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
he's
pretty
like,
sure
well, guess I
Anil
lost.
just sneezed.
Who?
Anil just sneezed.
Who's that and what?
Isn't that is that his name? Anil, the lightning god?
Oh, Enel.
Oh,
Enel,
Enel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sneezed.
Or Enaru, depending on your pronunciation.
Enaru.
Yeah. What was your anime only moment, Tamer?
The anime only moment that has the guy running the rundown bar.
Is that anime only?
Yeah, that's anime only. That wasn't in the manga.
That was well done then.
Yeah,
That was canon.
Yeah, it's super well done, but it's actually anime only.
Huh.
Hey, Luffy going into the same bar that Roger visited, and the barkeep recognizing him and just being like, huh, this kid reminds me a lot of Roger. And then, Smoker also coming in. By the way, sorry, you first.
Well, they must really like that old man, because I think he shows up in later flashbacks back to the execution.
Yeah.
Not just the one that was in this arc.
Also, gotta say, hey, regardless of the fact that Smoker unfortunately doesn't end up doing a lot in the rest of the series, his introduction here
is
amazing, because up until now, we haven't seen a lot of good Marines. Like, there were the ones who helped Kobe. Of course, there's also Kobe himself, who's aspiring to be a Marine. And then we see Smoker, whose introduction is a kid spills ice cream on his pants. And if Smoker was meant to be a villain, this is when he would have, kicked the kid.
Yeah.
But no, he's like, ah, dang, looks like my pants ate your ice cream. Here you go, kid. And it's like,
I actually have to get rid of that Redeem King, because I'm not going to be playing Passepartout anymore, because I beat the game last time. So, thank you for reminding me about that. I will get that removed.
But yeah, and he's just like, ah, dang, my pants ate her ice cream. Here, go get yourself another one, and make it 2 scoops this time. It's just like, this is an establishing moment. Above all else, Smoker actually cares about people.
We get a very good introduction to the fact that Smoker is not just going to be some douchebag who's chasing after us because, oh no, pirate evil. It's like, yeah, I mean, he is kind of like a little bit on that level of pirate evil, but
pirate evil, but people come first.
Yes.
I guess I'm just judging Smoker a little too harshly because of things I know. Well, just how he develops. I'm not a fan of how he develops.
Yeah, unfortunately, Smoker does kind of get popped to the wayside a good amount, unfortunately, when it comes
once
to...
again, we are judging things by how they appear in this arc.
Yes.
Yes, I need to not look at that.
Yeah, we gotta keep it within the actual arc itself, which is why I still say that at the moment Logtown is the high B tier over Orangetown, because there's just so much more happening. We get the reintroduction of Buggy, and we get the reintroduction of Alvida, who is now kind of there, which sort of sets her up to be important. Unfortunately, that does not really happen, at least not as of yet. And we get introduced to who would later be revealed to be Luffy's dad.
Yeah.
The fucking leader of the Revolutionary Army just shows up, and it helps Luffy escape. Why? Who knows? At least at the time. We know now, because, he came to see his kid off, who he's been absentee from for for God knows how long. But yeah, just like the intrigue behind that, the strange wind, the showing that fate seems to be on Luffy's side. There's a lot that just shows Logtown as a, and not even just that. Also, when they escape, we get the whole foot on the barrel scene. I know in the anime, in the live action, they did it a lot earlier because for reasons.
Oh yeah.
But that didn't happen until after they left Logtown and were heading towards Reverse Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just the reaffirmation of everybody's dream, which, outside of Luffy's, was completely shown and to be true outside of Luffy's.
Mm-hmm. Because we still don't know what his real dream is.
Nope. Hold on, I gotta turn that channel point off. I've already paused it, so I don't think anybody can use it, but I'm gonna just go turn it off. There it is. Boop. All right, there we go. Thank you, Robbie. I'm sorry that you don't remember Logtown very well.
All right. Now then.
Reverse Mountain, because we're not even acknowledging the fucking Oppies filler. I'm sorry. Okay. It's not a very long arc. It's a very short arc. It goes quickly into the next arc, but honestly,
yeah.
Can we just all agree?
It's so good.
The lowest
so good.
I would ever put it would be high A.
Yes.
But no, it's F.
It would have gone in front of of Baratier in A if I wanted it to be in A.
This sets the bar for actual sea travel and environment. Like, it's the first you actually get, like, okay, this world is crazy.
Though, if there's a One Piece GeoGuessr, I might try that one day.
Oh god.
But yeah, no, it not only sets the bar of just how crazy that the Grand Line is going to be. The introduction of Laboon was something that was just contained in itself was just amazing, because we got this big ass whale who's got a little house inside of him because the only way the doctor can actually take care of him is working on the inside. But also to find out that it can think, it's got the feelings, it's basically human in all things, except for the fact that it can't talk.
Yep. And also, here we learn just how really dumb Luffy can be.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I have an emote based all around one particular thing that happens in that.
Yeah, this is quite literally the new bar for just how dumb he can be.
Oh no, is that a One Piece test? I might have to do that later. There it is. Yeah, Robbie knows the one I'm talking about. I love that. It's such a quick frame in the anime of just Luffy looking at the trap door on top of Laboon and going, "What the fuck is that?" It's so good. And then also we've got the introduction into a very brief introduction of what we will be dealing with for the next couple of arcs, which is the Baroque Works agents, one of which is very important to us, and still is to this day.
Oh, which?
Well, yeah, but we don't meet him until Whiskey Peak.
Right. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's been a while since I've
okay.
seen these arcs specifically.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
They start to blend together after it's been so long.
Yeah, and the only reason I remember them so well is because I've done many rewatches of One Piece, because I have no life. But yeah, and then just the fact that we've got that promise to Laboon. I don't want to say that future knowledge should make us elevate an arc, but knowing what we know about Laboon in the future also kind of like bumps this up even more, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's one of the times where it kind of blends because it's just really powerful, because it's not like we're going, oh, this is how it develops. This is it's like, oh, this is adding on to that original scene.
Came out of fucking nowhere. But we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. It's not the fact that it's coming back to this arc that we learned about this thing.
Yeah. So, but Whiskey Peak. Now, would you consider the traveling to Whiskey Peak to be part of Reverse Mountain, or actually part of the Whiskey Peak arc?
What happened along the travels there?
They got to experience basically what they are going to be dealing with on the Grand Line weather-wise. Which is because of apparently when you're closer to Reverse Mountain, that's where the weather is usually the craziest, because of just all the different magnetic waves coming off of it that lead to the different islands. And we also, of course, learn how the Grand Line works with how to travel through it with the introduction of the log pose and all that.
I'd say keep that as part of Reverse Mountain, because it kind of feels the whole vibe of this is the introduction to the Grand Line.
So Whiskey Peak. Now, before you said that me and Tamer sound like Zorro fans almost through and through, and you're probably not entirely wrong. Whiskey Peak is definitely a Zorro arc, at least in terms of who gets to really show off. And I say that only because, that's where he kind of got one of his biggest reputation boosts from this entire arc, in the fact that he took down 100 bounty hunters all by himself.
Yep, it's also where we learned that Zorro does not get drunk.
I mean, he does. It just doesn't affect him the same way that everybody else does.
Yeah.
Because remember, Nami's perfectly fine at the same time, too.
Yeah.
It also gives us one of the things that a lot of people continuously want to see in the future, and that is two Straw Hats fighting each other, technically for real, in the fact that Luffy and Zoro end up fighting each other. With the intent to kill, essentially. It's got some great comedy that goes into it. We get the introduction, of course, of Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, who initially come off as very intimidating, and then they get completely destroyed by our crew members. We have the official introduction of Vivi, who is just a fan favorite. You can't be a fan of One Piece and not know who Vivi is at this point.
Yep.
Even though she's been gone from the zeitgeist for quite a while, she's still very much loved in the community.
Oh yeah. And if you don't know about her, it does not take long to get informed.
No, it doesn't. We get to learn who our next big bad is. One of the fucking best villains, still in my opinion, in the entire series, which is the introduction of Crocodile, who is also a warlord of the sea. Basically, we just got into the Grand Line, and immediately the next thing that happens to them, they're already the targets of a warlord of the sea.
Yep, basically, Reverse Mountain, welcome to the Grand Line itself. Whiskey Peak, welcome to the politics of the Grand Line.
Woo! For me, I wouldn't say that Whiskey Peak... Well, it might be better than Baratier, actually, now that I think about it. I feel like it's A tier, because it does a lot of good setup.
It is absolutely A tier. The question is if it's better or if it's above or below Baratier, because on the one hand, it doesn't have as many establishing moments as the Baratier, but on the other hand, it doesn't have Doncrete.
It doesn't have Doncrete. Also, the Whiskey Peak just sets up so much. We also get the introduction of Robin here.
Ooh.
Which was a hell of an introduction.
You know what? Since it introduces
she was working with
Robin, as well as serves as the start of the Crocodile situation, I'm willing to say it just edges out Baratier.
Agreed.
I wouldn't, but I'm a Sanji fanboy. So.
I mean, it doesn't make Sanji's arc any worse. It's still an A tier arc.
Yeah.
And Sanji gets a kind of pretty cool moment in the next one.
I would just put Baratier above. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. Now,
look, keep in mind, we're also putting it above Baratier, even though we're also Zoro fanboys.
Well, no.
Because one of Zoro's defining moments also happens in Baratier.
Yeah, but also Zoro has a lot of defining moments that happen in Whiskey Peak, too. So,
I feel like it was Mihawk's defining moment in Baratier.
I mean, Zoro still comes off better for it at the end, with the fact that he makes his declaration that he'll never lose again and all that.
I expected
But
him
yes.
to die in that moment. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I think we all did when the first
Oh
release.
yeah. Just that statement, and no, the gap between us can't be this big.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, if this had been Jujutsu Kaisen, he would have died there. Let's be fair.
All right, now then, we've dallied long enough on the end of Whiskey Peak. On to Little Garden.
I want to ask, before we start discussing this, where do you guys think Little Garden deserves to be?
I honestly don't have many bad memories of Little Garden.
No, it's a good arc. It's a very good arc. It's when the
That's where
giant.
we get all the numbers members.
We get a couple more of the numbers members introduced, not all of them.
We also
it's
get-
also we meet Dory and Bragi for the first time.
I say low A because it's
Yeah.
a good arc, but it doesn't have a lot of establishing moments.
Yeah, it doesn't stick out for me
It's
that well.
it's got the biggest thing that it's got going for it, outside of just the introduction of the of a couple of other Baroque Orcs members, where we get our first real look at Crocodile in this, which happens with your boy Sanji, by the way. But it has a very good setup to go into the next arc we're about to talk about. Because we got the whole thing with the bug bite with Nami that happens. Because, she kind of lost her shirt when she was set on fire.
Also,
Take that out of context.
Also, we have another great moment. Another great Zoro moment.
We had,
Make sure that
I
if you're
would-
gonna die, make sure to strike a cool pose.
That is a good moment, yeah. No, that is funny as hell. We get the introduction, not only the introduction of the Giants, but also this is kind of outside of his situation, which we kind of forgot to talk about back in Arlong Park for Usopp. We get one of the most defining moments for Usopp here, because this is where he really solidifies the idea of his dream to become a great warrior of the sea, because now he's got a goal to look at. He barely knows anything about his dad, because his dad fucked off when he was a little kid and while his mom was sick, because, that's just how Yasopp was. But he gets a mentor essentially with, I think it's Bragi. I know their names, but I can't. Their faces are so hard to remember. I think the blonde beard one is Bragi. I might be wrong. I don't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. But he gets that interaction with him. He hears the tales about Elbaf, and that sets up Elbaf in our fucking minds for the future, which is also insane that was introduced that far back. Just, there is a lot of good stuff that happens. It's not better than Baratier in my opinion. I agree with that. But it is definitely up there for the arcs in this series, even if it is a kind of a short one.
Honestly, the brevity does also kind of help it.
Yes, it does. Now, there's no question that the next one is A, if not maybe S tier, depending on your arguments. But Drum Island, where our boy Chopper is introduced.
Yup.
Chopper's story is very touching. I'm not gonna lie.
Chopper's story hurts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's up there. It didn't quite hit as hard as Baratier did for me, but I think again that's bias from me.
I think that might be, yeah. That might be a little bit of Sanji bias going on in there, and that also might be because Sanji kind of gets abused a bit during this arc.
One complaint I have with this arc is that that Chopper ends up being the only doctor on that island, and then he leaves.
Well, no, because the 20
So
MDs come back, and also, also you got to remember that that Kureha is a doctor as well.
Yeah.
She's the
Gotta
one who taught
remember
him
the
everything.
the big thing wasn't that
guess.
he was the only doctor on the island. He was one of the only doctors left that Wapol hadn't basically taken hostage.
Taken hostage or just kicked off the island. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wapol was also one of the most One Piece villains, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The first real establishment of this is what Oda does.
This is just it. This guy, everybody everybody who isn't a Straw Hat thinks he's a threat, but he's not really a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This,
I think
honestly,
it's a very good establishing arc.
Yeah.
This is a bit more of a Dawn Creek moment than Dawn Creek was.
Yeah.
The Straw Hats ain't playing around with this kind of shit.
Yeah. Like they don't care about the fact that this guy is part of the world government. They don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. They don't care about his gimmicks and all that.
If he can't actually take them on in a fight, fuck right off.
Right. So that being said,
I'd say high A. It didn't have me wowed
high
like
A.
Reverse Mountain.
yeah, I think it's the top of A for right now.
Yeah. Also, I would say it's above Whiskey Peak and Bratier because this arc does actually do something very important. It establishes the importance of dream.
Yes, it establishes the importance of why our characters' dreams are a solidifying factor for themselves, and why they shouldn't give up on those things. Because if you do, in the One Piece universe, then that's when everything will start going wrong for you.
Yep.
And of course, also we get Chopper, who's like one of the best characters in the entire series.
Yep.
He's just a little guy. And unless he wants to be a really big guy, then he's a really big guy.
But let's be honest, even though he's a really big guy, he's still our little guy.
Still our little guy.
I literally get that picture in my head of Chopper being like, no, stop.
That doesn't make me feel better, you dumbass.
Anytime Chopper gets a compliment, it's always in my head.
Let's all just be fair and not argue about this. Alabasta is S tier. It's just S tier. It's top of
it has that same hit that Arlong gave, where it's like, okay, this guy is fucking ridiculous. He's a disgusting, like,
but I love him.
It's just evil person.
But I love him so much.
Let's be honest. The only reason it's actually the only reason it's not closer to Arlong Park, why it's not further away from Arlong Park, is because the anime dragged it on horrendous.
It was so long.
It was. There was a
that
good
would be my
amount of
only caveat of putting it below Arlong, but we have to judge on like the manga too.
Yeah. We have to judge on both things.
And to be fair, a little bit of the filler was actually good. Like we got more time with Ace in the anime, whereas in the manga that didn't happen. He showed up, he helped out on that one island to get them past Smoker, hung out on the boat for a little bit, destroyed the billion ships, and then fucked off. And that was the last we saw of him outside of like cover pages and stuff where he was hanging out with Buggy for a little bit and all that.
But I'd still say absolutely top of the S tier.
Yes.
Here's for now.
For now.
No, like it is dragged down a little bit by what the anime did to it, but at the same time the anime also helped it, so it's like.
And the nice part is with the filler you can skip the filler, so it's like it's not that bad. Long Ring Long Land does not change in my mind because I also just really hate Foxy. But in the case of Alabasta, like it's just skipping over the filler stuff is fine.
By the way, something that Alabasta does great is it establishes that there's a difference between people who rely only on gimmicks to survive and people who have gimmicks and also show off the creativity of pretty much all of the crew members.
Yeah. And this is also where we get our first real devil fruit fight at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like the whole thing against like Mr. 3 back on Little Garden was okay. Like, but he's heavily reliant on his devil fruit, whereas Crocodile has taken the usage of his devil fruit to the literal maximum at the time. To the point where he's practically controlling an entire island, both literally and physically, all on his own.
You mean metaphorically and
metaphorically and physically, yes. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like that was a real introduction to what someone other than our main character could do with these basically godlike powers that the devil fruits give.
Oh yeah. Just hey, what if there was someone who had had one of these things, but was actually fucked up.
But yeah. Okay.
Kind of funny for such a long arc. We're not talking about it that much because
I mean, it's
solid.
a solid, simple premise. Like, there's not really much argument to be had about whether or not it should be lower on the list.
And literally my only downside to the arc is that dragged out, like, how long it takes to actually get to the war.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a lot of setup that was added into the anime that didn't really happen in the manga, and I fully acknowledge that. I don't think it drags it down that far, though, because, again, you can skip it, and you won't miss anything because of it.
All right.
Jaya is... I don't know how contentious Jaya is going to be.
I'll be honest, I only really remember a couple things about Jaya. Isn't it actually pretty short?
It is very short. It's barely, I think, 3 to 4 episodes long in the anime, and maybe a couple of chapters in the manga.
Yeah, I remember that one guy gets knocked the fuck out.
Bellamy.
Bellamy gets knocked the fuck out
Bellamy.
Yeah, because this one does help to reinforce, don't fuck with dreams. Dreams are very important in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Hold. And then there was also, the knock-up stream was pretty entertaining. So was the whole Northbird thing.
The Northbird thing. We had the introduction of not like a super important character, but with oh god, see, he's so not super important. I'm forgetting his name.
Norman? Are you talking about the liar?
Nolan.
Or
no.
Nolan, right.
No, his ancestor.
Right.
Chestnut head here in the image. I can't remember his name.
It's pretty low for me.
I'd put it as a...
The big thing I think that this arc does for me every time I rewatch it is the world building that we get outside of where the Straw Hats are. Because this is also where we're introduced to 2 new warlords. 2 very important warlords. Which is Don Flamingo and Kuma.
Right.
This was their introduction arc all the way back. We also get the bounties for Luffy and Zoro being 100 million and 30 million respectively. Or actually, no, 60 million, my bad. We get the introduction of Blackbeard here, who is another major character.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they're major, but they didn't spend a whole lot of time on any of these establishing characters yet.
I would say they spent a fair amount of time on them, to be honest, because we had the whole conversation with them. We got to see Don Flamingo fucking with the Marines up in Marijois.
Yeah. I'd say above Romance Dawn.
We're gonna call it a B tier.
I would say above Romance because it was longer than Romance and arguably established just as much.
Yeah, I would say it established a bit more. I kind of want to say above Orange Town, honestly.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Because Orange Town really didn't have a lot of like lore, world building introductions. It was just a one town situation.
Still doing a lot of character stuff.
Yeah. Skypiea.
Oh, Skypiea.
So, I know in
First C for me.
See, that's what I was going to try to argue, and I wasn't sure how the feeling was going to go. Because Skypiea it's fine. It's good. I've got no real problems with it. It starts out
incredible, in my opinion, but
the
hype of Skypiea was, like, getting there.
Yeah.
And, like, it had that shock and awe of Reverse Mountain all over again.
Finding out there are literal islands in the sky that people could go to.
Once you get there, it's like underwhelming.
I wouldn't call it underwhelming. The thing that gets it for me is the villain. Eneru just does not feel like an actual threat. The entire time.
He's not established enough throughout it. Like, it's just like it's like Voldemort, and you never get to Voldemort until the end.
Kinda.
Yeah, I'd honestly say, like, I remember when I first read it, I did actually feel intimidated by the fact that, oh hey, this guy can basically just nuke any part of the island that he wants at will.
Yeah.
And they demonstrated it, so I was like, okay, I'm actually interested in meeting this Eneru guy.
But then,
but then we kind of get caught up in the whole Civil War bit.
Yeah.
It drags on for a bit, and then we get to Eneru, and he's not a bad villain, so to say, but he doesn't justify the slog to get there.
Right. He is overly reliant on his devil fruit, which is entirely countered by Luffy. The only reason that Luffy even has any kind of trouble with him is first he's just got to figure out a way around the mantra / early observation hockey. And even when he does that, he just gets a giant golden ball that's put onto him that eventually leads to helping him beat Eneru, who, as it turns out, with all the people he's been nuking, are all alive.
Yeah, that's the weird bit.
Like, that's the part that hurts the most.
Also, it's like,
because it's kind of weird. He's intimidating if you don't know how, if you don't know about the fight beforehand or the fact that everyone lived.
Yeah.
It's very much. It's like Oda was trying to make a second crocodile, but without.
That's exactly what I was gonna bring up, because even the whole like Civil War part is like, we just came out of a slog in Alabasta, and you're into that, and I think that kind of dragged it down like even more.
Yeah,
because like it's like, I've done this kind of thing already, and
like the backstory information with like Nolan and stuff is very good. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's not, but the way that the Civil War portion is handled is just kind of, because there's no objective like, oh well, the Sky People have a good point, but also the Shandarians have a good point. It's like, no, the Shandarians have the best point. What are you talking about?
And Enel is just a fucking dick.
And he's just a dick. And not in a fun way.
I mean, I will say, in hindsight, again, it's future knowledge, but
yes, in hindsight,
really, Enel could be as strong as Kizaru.
He could.
If he worked on it.
If he wasn't just reliant on the fact that he was a walking bug zapper.
Yeah. By the way, let's be honest. We all actually thought that Enel was threatening until that shock moment of the Enel face of Luffy just no-selling his strongest attack. Hold up. Is that supposed to do something?
It's so good. It's been reused multiple times throughout the fucking series on other people.
And funnily enough,
such a good face.
One of the best points of this arc is what dragged it down the most. Because at that point you realize, oh, Enel was never actually a threat to Luffy. And and knowing that and looking back is what drags it down so much.
Like the only things that could boost Skypiea, and I'm not allowing this to boost it, is the recent events in Wano. Because as it turns out, Skypiea actually did sort of foreshadow Gear 5th in a way.
Which is why I think it's fitting in C, because it like, I would rewatch it. It is relevant. You know, like,
it's rewatchable.
It's just not up there.
Like, that's the thing. It's
like that.
It's hard. It's a little hard to get through after the first time that you've watched it, but it's not near as hard as, say, like Syrup Village, which is just kind of dragged down for me, in my opinion. And Long Ring Long Land, which I just don't touch.
I feel like that is our criteria for the difference between D and C. We agree that overall
it's rewatchable.
It's rewatchable. It's not the best. It's not. Sometimes you wouldn't even call it good, but it's rewatchable. D tier is when it's not rewatchable.
When you want to skip it.
Yep.
When it feels like filler.
By the way, I also wouldn't count the stuff from Wano either.
No, of course not. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like we can't count that in there.
Purely because at this point we don't get the feeling that it's going to be important later.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the difference between Whiskey Peak and Skypiea.
Yeah.
Whiskey Peak sets up for stuff and lets us know, by the way, this will be important later.
Yes.
Skypiea is just like, oh hey, here's world building. And then Wano was like, oh hey, by the way, that world building is actually important now.
Like right now. Which, in hindsight, one of Oda's favorite like panels that he's ever drawn was that dancing scene where Luffy is doing the sort of Nika, as we've now learned, the Nika dance pose.
Yeah.
Like, it was important even in Oda's mind back then, but we didn't understand that until we actually got to that moment in Wano.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not willing to count it, even if you wanted to.
Agreed. And
That's why
I wouldn't have allowed myself to push it up because of that anyway. So
all right,
all good. Water 7. Whew. The next two arcs I feel like are almost slam dunks for just the ease of where to put them. If not S tier, Water 7 is definitely the top of A right now, and I'm willing to hear arguments.
I'd put
it's good.
It's so good.
I put it either. I don't know if I'd put it past Reverse Mountain in, but it's definitely S tier. Definitely S.
Like, my only problems with it, and this isn't even really a problem, my only problem with Water 7 is Usopp. That's it.
Yeah.
It's important for his character. I understand the reason why he feels the way he does. Do I look at him and think that he's making a very smart decision, that he's acting like a rational person? No. I look at him like he's a dumbass teenager, which he is.
This is one of the important parts. He's a dumbass, but it feels so in character. It makes sense that we don't like what he's doing.
This was the reminder that most of our crew are under 20. That these were teenagers.
And also very traumatized under 20.
Oh, very traumatized under 20 year olds.
It makes sense that the kid who lost his mom because his dad doesn't want to let go of someone that he's been with for basically his whole journey.
And the Mary is also super important to us. That's another thing from Skypiea that I forgot about, was the whole introduction of the fact that there's something going on with the Mary. It hasn't been fully explained, but there is something happening there. It doesn't change where Skypiea is, but it is an important moment. And then, of course, we've also got the introduction of Frankie into the zeitgeist. Not that any of us knew how important he was gonna be right at the beginning.
I mean, I kind of had a feeling, because I mean, he is set up as like, because his mentor was
I'm talking about at the very beginning of the arc, like before we started to really dive into his backstory.
He came across as a villain that we were gonna have a fun time with. Like, they had an amazing establishing character moment of, oh no, Frankie's here, everybody run.
Yeah, his whole fight with Luffy is a good time. The introduction of like the Galley Law people. There's so many good characters in this arc. And then, not to mention all that, the whole thing that happened with Robin.
Yep.
Where we find out more about her, because up until that point, she had just been in the background for the crew after joining them back in Alabasta. And we find out so much. Like, just...
And also, with the reveal of Robin's importance, we also get the first taste of, oh hey, by the way, the world government is actually a threat.
Yeah.
With the introduction of CP9.
It's a problem, like, that we're gonna have to more than likely deal with in the future. It's not just the Navy part of it. The whole thing is a problem.
Side note, I think that with all this, like, going back to the, like, people want to see more conflict between the crew. Luffy's only not had conflict with, like, the ladies and Jinbei, and I guess Brook.
Well, yeah, and Brook. I mean, Luffy technically has conflict with Nami, but it's more comedic conflict.
Yeah, it's not like serious.
It's never been serious. Yeah. Robin and Luffy just click on a level that nobody can really understand.
They do. they just like they get each other.
They just get each other, and that's it. It's like if Luffy is literally just like, "Hey, if it's important, tell me," and Robin's like, "Cool."
Jinbei, I don't think will ever have conflict with Luffy.
I think
Brook would be more comedic as well.
We seem to kind of be past the point of conflicts between crew members at this point.
Yeah, unless something major.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, unless something major really happens in the future, I don't see anybody on the crew pulling what Usopp did. And honestly, the only one who could have pulled that was Usopp himself. Because while Nami understood that she wasn't very strong and she wasn't like able to really keep up with the fighting that the most of the crew does, she still probably feels like majorly important because she's the only reason they make it from island to island.
Oh yeah.
The only actual conflict I could see coming is Sanji versus Zoro, legitimately all out.
Yeah, which I don't think will
actually,
ever
that
happen.
is a fair point.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll ever actually happen.
Yeah.
No, not legitimately.
All right. So, is that about Water 7?
I would say that's about Water 7. It's also S tier because I'm counting the train scene as part of Water 7.
Yep.
The entire like little tiny mini arc of Sanji assaulting the train in one of his best moments in the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
That being said,
Change
my mind.
No question.
Come on.
No question.
Who wants to argue?
No, it checks out.
No question.
Robin's backstory, the entire thing.
She's so good.
It's so good. The entire thing with like the one I want to live scene, the fact that Usopp, even under mask, had been like acting like a coward up until that point, but the second he is told to shoot down the fucking flag of the world,
to declare war on the world
because his friend is in danger, and he does it without any hesitation.
This is the Straw Hat Pirates moment, not any individual moment. This is the Straw Hat Pirate.
It's so good.
It's got the same weight that Nami's introduction had, but it was built up way longer.
Right, because
it was coming so long.
We had a much bigger build up with it because we've got the whole thing last arc with Robin, who is throwing herself away, not because she doesn't feel like she can get away this time, but because she doesn't want to get away. Like the whole reason why she even went with the government at this time, at this point in time, is because she needed to protect her friends, people that she had come to literally care about for the first time in like 20 years. And there's a lot of people who would say like, oh, if Luffy hadn't shown up in Robin's life, she would have been caught and killed by the government. Like, no, she wouldn't have. No, she would not have. She would have gotten away. Like, even with the whole thing with Crocodile.
She would not be in the best place, but she would have gotten away.
Yeah, the importance of Robin's arc isn't in her ability to dodge her past. She's been dodging her past for like 20 years now.
Right.
Well, almost.
Nearly.
No, the importance of it is her deciding to stay.
Like, for the people that she's come to literally care about. The people who brought, as she says, the people who brought back her dream that she had basically given up on.
Like, hey, you're focusing on the wrong end. You're focusing on literally the polar opposite end. This isn't about her ability to escape. This is her ability to stay. Because
the only thing that's going for Long Ring Long Land that I'm gonna go back to, because we did kind of skip it because it was already on there.
Yeah, we did completely forget it.
Was the introduction of Aokiji, and also the real sign that Robin definitely wasn't gonna truly betray the crew because of her like her genuine insistence that she is not gonna be the kind of person to run away again, as Aokiji continues to state. That's the only good thing about Long Ring Long Land. That's it.
The introduction of Aokiji.
I mean, the comedy from the Davy Back fights is fun and all, but just it did not click with me.
Yeah. Also, the importance of Aokiji's introduction.
That too.
The introduction of the admirals.
Yes.
And we get a second Mihawk moment. That is what Aokiji did. He was a second Mihawk moment.
Yep.
Just another, hey, welcome to the top of the ladder.
A showing of what you guys have to contend with to even hope to continue your adventure on the Grand Line.
And this is what you will face eventually.
And the only reason they get away from it is because Luffy just happened to run across one of the two, or like the single admiral at that moment in time, who had some sense of like honor to him.
Yeah, like that's kind of the point of both a Mihawk moment, and in my opinion, it is when you see the top of the ladder and literally the only reason you escaped is because that person didn't feel like killing for some reason.
Yeah.
Mihawk was genuinely impressed by Zoro's resolve.
And Luffy.
And Aokiji.
He was impressed by Luffy as well for staying out of the fight.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And Aokiji, he was impressed by Luffy's resolve and determination to protect his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just straight up to the point that they were completely outclassed here. The only reason they survived is because the person they were fighting didn't want to kill them.
Yep. And
didn't
that's
feel
it.
like it.
But anyway,
By the way,
Enies Lobby.
yes, back to Enies Lobby, because we still have one more important part to talk about. The fact that all of us fucking cried.
Yes.
Over a ship.
Now, I would actually argue that that's probably post Enies Lobby arc, to be honest.
Well, it's because we know... I'd honestly say that the majority of it happens in the Enies Lobby part, because we know that the Mary was literally dying, and then
shows up
at Enies Lobby for, in the ship's own words, one last voyage.
Yeah.
Like, yes, technically the Mary being sunk officially is post Enies Lobby.
I think so, yeah.
But that moment is Still Enies Lobby.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
We also have the introduction of another really just good villain in a different way from Crocodile, in the fact that we also we meet Rob Lucci, who is just a genuine psychopath. Like, there's no question about it. He's just a genuine psychopath. The only reason he fights for justice, and I use that in quotation, is because, he works for the world government, and they just allow him to kill almost indiscriminately.
He was very dapper, though.
He was very dapper.
Gotta give it to him.
Like, he will stand out in a crowd. That is for sure. And that's not just when he becomes a giant cat man.
Okay.
And also that fight with Luffy is still probably one of like the top tier fights in the entire series.
Yep.
Regardless of current situations.
Oh, that fight showcased that even if Luffy, he can't exactly match his opponent's skill or power, he will outlast them in durability.
Oh yeah.
That's where is that where he first gets his second gear?
The arc is where he first uses the gears. Both second and third gear are shown off in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we got our first taste of it with his fight with Bluno, but that was the real showing.
That's just great.
Yeah,
that was a great showing.
And also the fact that Luffy actually probably could have won that fight had the Buster Call not been put up, because if the fucking ships weren't there at the time when Luffy brought out Gear 3rd, Lucci would have fucking fallen into the sea, and he'd have been dead. There was nobody who was gonna go and save him. Everybody else was taken out.
Yep.
So just it's those genuine moments where Luffy's creativity literally could have won him that fight, had it not been for other circumstances. That would have been over right there.
Yep.
Which is impressive.
We get a lot of great fights for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Zoro, and especially Sanji too.
Zoro and Sanji get one of their defining moments in this series. Robin gets
when we first see Diable Jambe.
Yeah. Robin gets to snap the back of somebody. This is also, I think, the last time until Wano that Nami kind of gets a proper fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they really leave her to navigation for a while.
Both Robin and Nami, just the girls in general, just really end up not getting too many of their own fights in the future.
Yeah, but Robin didn't need it. Robin's she's got herself. She can take care of herself.
Sure, but you could show her off every now and then. Come on.
It's because Robin, let's be honest, she's used for cleaning up the mooks.
Yeah. A little bit.
But Nami needs that moment more than Robin, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, to be honest, the whole point of this arc was Robin doesn't need to do stuff on her own.
I'm not. Yeah.
That's why her main thing is that she just snaps the back of one particular person.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining that she doesn't do anything during this arc in particular. I'm talking about in the future. Just the girls end up kind of being pushed to the wayside when it comes to just like fights and being able to prove themselves and that kind of shit, you know. But yeah, post Senny's lobby, Kobe comes back and Garp is officially shown for the first time. I'm sorry.
Usopp officially comes back to the crew
in the best way possible. Not just we're gonna welcome him back and there's no repercussions for what he did. Holy shit, Killer Chair, welcome in from the raid. Thank you for the raid. We are talking about One Piece today. So if you got spoilers that you don't want to hear, I fully understand you leaving. But thank you for coming in. How's it going? Let me do a quick little
By the way, time to be a Zoro fanboy. The fact that Zoro is the one who reminds Luffy, hey, I know you're really happy to see him again, but you're also
afflicted silver Rathalos and
if you just welcome him back
Apex.
in, I'm the one who's gonna leave.
I'm gonna fucking piss off.
God, if you have like the Rathian version of that, hell no, I'm doing that.
How was stream?
That'll give me Generations Ultimate flashbacks.
As long as the current arc isn't discussed. We touched on it very briefly, as in basically said we would only talk about
just talking about that like before my eyes, just images flash by of Gold Rathian kicking the shit out of me and Pingu.
It's in its own little category up here. And
then Dread Queen shows up and we're like, we're not done yet.
And that's the most that we were talking about it. That's it. It's mostly up to Wano that we will have the major spoilers going on. This is a really long clip.
No.
There we go. But yeah, no, like post Eni's lobby is so good. We get the return of Usopp in the best way possible, which is him having to actually apologize. Luffy actually sticking to that up until the end, which was very good. The introduction of Garp, which was just a major drop. The return of Kobe. The return of our boy.
Yes.
He's back and he's grown up.
Yeah. That's a very fitting spot at A. It's not S for sure. It's definitely high A.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not a straight up S. I will say that.
It's too
short.
Oh, also we get our 1,000 Sunny.
We get the 1,000 Sunny. We get Frankie joining. Everybody's got a bounty. This is literally the Straw Hats stepping out into the limelight.
This is, hey, congratulations. You're
known to the world.
Welcome to the rest of the Grand Line.
It's so good, and everybody's reaction to their bounties is funny. This is Sanji getting pushed to the wayside for what we would later find out is actually turns out to be a very important reason and not just a joke. The beginning of the bit for Chopper and his unfortunate fight with his own bounty for the rest of the series. It's a good wrap up arc, is what the post Eni's lobby is. Poor Chopper, yeah.
Oh, poor Chopper.
The filler is, I felt it was kind of unnecessary, but I don't know where the manga was at the time that post Eni's lobby was happening, so maybe they really needed it. I don't know. At least they hadn't started doing what they do in Wano, which was a bunch of clip shows every fucking couple of episodes. God. Like, I swear, it was like every 5 episodes they did a new clip show.
Look, we'll keep that for the Wano arc.
I know, but it's not... I'm not factoring that into whether or not Wano deserves to be where it's going to be. I'm just saying that. It pissed me off.
Also, it's okay, Killer. I know. I tried to fight for Baratier, but they wouldn't let me.
Hey, Killer mostly agrees with where everything is, so that's good. I gotta ask, Killer, are you a stand for Long Ring Long Land? Is that is that one of your deals? You know, I just realized this is something I could do.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh. Ah.
Yeah, I could have F11 the entire time. It's all good.
So,
Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark.
I I know there's a lot of contention against Thriller Bark. Not a lot of people love it. And you know what? He's kind of the reason why not a lot of people love it. And I think
the most annoying laugh.
It's
hands down.
That being said, his English voice actor so fucking good.
Yeah.
But as much as people rag on Thriller Bark, I would call it a low A tier.
Yeah, that's where I'd put it. Either low A or high B.
Because we get
It's not bad.
No, it's not.
It's not.
A lot of people hated it because it's what came after Ennie's Lobby. Following Ennie's Lobby is probably one of the hardest things any arc could have done.
And honestly, Oda did the right thing of chilling things out until the very end of this arc.
Yes, and you're right, Killer Sherry. We get Brook, and it is just good on its own. It's a good little arc that happens. It doesn't even outstay its welcome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Also, it seals the deal for my argument that Frankie is the fastest person in One Piece.
Well, but we also meet Kuma officially.
Wait, fastest person?
He's the fastest person in One Piece because he builds an entire polished bridge
in like 2 seconds.
Ah, okay.
in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. And the scene with Kuma at the end is very good. We get another little bit of intrigue with him saying he could, like, Luffy could be nobody else's son but yours, Dragon. And you're like, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Also.
And more details
Robbie.
I can't go into because of current spoilers.
Hey, Robbie, you're not going to like us for this one. It's also got one of the most defining Zoro moments.
I don't think... Robbie doesn't hate Zoro.
I don't hate Zoro.
Just
Sanji could just take him in a fight any day.
That being said, it's also probably some of the worst moments for Sanji.
Yeah.
It's not great for my boy.
The whole Battle of the Perverts part is probably the lowest portion of Thriller Bark, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I completely forgot it happened.
This is legitimately, I will give it to you, this is Zoro's best moment in the entire series.
And in effect, we kind of, it gets a little bit more elevated, not that it's going to go up any higher in the standing because of it, but he technically meets his ancestor.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really his ancestor because, you know, it's Brook's soul in there, but he gets to fight against, like, his own ancestor, and he wins.
Mm-hmm.
And not easily, mind you, even though that is a pretty quick fight.
Also, the introduction to this arc was amazing. Splitting the party. Also, Who goes in first. We get the proper horse scenario, and then we get Luffy and everyone else.
Who just walk in and
that's
not
when
care.
the horror breaks down.
And it made Brook's introduction better, even though it was kind of like cheesy, like solution
kind of
to
way,
everything. Like we just needed salt and we were good, kind of thing. Like okay.
Also, the nothing happened moment, which is still like one of the biggest things in the entire fandom.
Yeah. That's
what I was speaking of. Yeah, that makes it Zoro's best.
Just that this whole arc has so much good going for it. We also get a little bit more world building, not too much more in this one, but we get to see a little bit more of just how the warlords act towards each other in many cases.
Yep. And then
so good emotional
and Binks's brew.
Oh god, Binks's brew still hurts to this day.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of tempted to say, hey, maybe put it above Little Garden. Okay.
I would fight for above Little Garden.
I would honestly, now that I think about it now, I would kind of actually fight for it to be above Drum Island, honestly.
Whoa, whoa now.
I understand, but you got to remember that this is a proper arc.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that's in the way are very like short arcs where we don't get a ton of
above
character
Whiskey
moments.
Peak.
Above Whiskey Peak?
Yeah.
Killer's saying better than Drum, so that's another person who's on my side.
I'd say better than Drum, then, if we're allowed to go that
Damn.
far.
See,
Sorry.
Drum hit me though. Drum hit me hard.
Drum hits
like,
us all
Thriller Bark
hard.
Didn't do that.
Drum hits us all hard. I'm not gonna lie, but also at the same time, Thriller Bark has so much shit happening. Thriller Bark hits us so hard. We feel all the way back to Reverse Mountain. Because we find out that, oh yeah, the Straw Hats didn't just run into just some random skeleton guy. No, they met the fucking member of the crew that originally made the promise to Laboon.
Yep.
Who's still alive. Welcome in, 9.
All of the...
They're
Drum is
very
standalone,
close.
yes.
They're
It's
very
like,
close.
while-
I'll concede defeat.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got...
like, while Moria did drag this down a little bit, this just has so many moments.
And mostly because Moria is just, like, he is a defining character of somebody who gave up on their dream. That is what Moria is. And we kind of get to see just how bad it was for him when we get to see his, like, little flashback in Wano to when he was fighting Kaido. Because, man, he looked like a totally different person.
As far as, like, power and being an actual villain, I'll give it to you because Moria was way better than Wapol.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about that.
So that does kind of put points toward Thriller.
Yeah. Wapol is someone who only relies on gimmicks. Can't really fight for themselves. Moria is someone strong who gave up on their dream.
And still relies on gimmicks, but he does it in a way that's actually way more effective.
Yeah, that's because his emphasis, he's someone who used to be strong, but then gave up on his dream. And that's why he's not fighting as directly.
Like
That's why he's relying so much on gimmicks. He can't put himself out there anymore.
Like he was at one point he was able to contend with someone who has been introduced as an emperor of the sea. And knowing
and rightfully
that,
so, his devil fruit is overpowered. If he just practiced a little bit, had some resolve.
He's almost got an instant win condition if he was able to actually like get people's shadows away from them without much effort.
Yep.
But he never really, I guess he never really focused enough on that back then, or Kaido was just that overwhelming that he just didn't stand a chance to do it.
I think he was
It's
that
one or two.
overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, it is Kaido.
I think Moria didn't really have any hockey to deal with Kaido. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's I try not to bring that in because like hockey,
it wasn't established.
It really wasn't established at that point.
Yeah.
But even though now it is, I don't think Moria has hockey.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I'm sorry I'm not reacting much to the fruit being thrown at my face. I'm kind of in the middle of a conversation that is definitely taking over my brain. But I mean, yeah, the whole hockey thing has always been a problem for like old One Piece because we got why doesn't Crocodile know hockey? Why didn't he have that against Luffy back then? Because it wasn't there. It didn't exist.
Side note, I am curious if they'll make changes in the remake of it.
It'll be interesting to see. They would have to really
just subtle
like small
hints.
subtleties. Yeah.
Like foreshadowing would be really nice.
Because we do also have the problem that Oda was also still very much writing the story as he was publishing the story. Like for instance, the 7 warlords. They weren't supposed to be 7 warlords, and they got expanded to 7 warlords.
Yeah, well, no, the 7 warlords literally are the reason why One Piece has been going on for as long as it has.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, the series probably would have ended a long time ago.
Yeah, and then in the next arc we're going to be talking about, the fucking the worst generation was literally thought up literally the day before it was published.
Yep.
So that's the problem that we have to contend with when regarding stuff like hockey and looking back
retroactively. Yeah. And Chair brings up a point that the way they could do it is just be like that they were too stubborn to have used Haki against Luffy because they feel like they didn't need it against him at that time.
Yeah, that is a
that
good
feels a little
point.
bit weak, but
I mean, it's better. It's a better way of saying it than just being like, oh, they didn't have it. Well, then how did Crocodile take on people like Whitebeard back in the day and all that shit? Like, no, he had to have Haki. It's kind of a necessary thing to survive in the new world.
Yeah. All right. So, we satisfied with Thriller Bark?
I think I'm good. I don't think we got to talk about it too much more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, one last thing about Thriller Bark.
Oh, okay.
The true introduction of Kuma.
Yes, the true introduction of Kuma. And that's all I'm going to talk about.
Yep. That's all that needs to be said. This was also the true introduction of Kuma.
Sub-Odi Archipelago.
Yeah.
It has to. It has to go above
It's up
Alabasta.
there.
I don't think
It's up there.
it doesn't beat out Enies Lobby for me, but oh my god, that fucking arc.
It
It's
has
good.
some of the strongest moments with Luffy. He just absolutely decking a celestial dragon, showing Luffy's contempt for the world order.
Still one of the best punches in the entire series.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a very good moment. Also, it introduces Law.
We get the introduction of the entirety of the worst generation, and the fact that Oda came up with them literally pretty much the night before he started working on it. And Enies Lobby's best arc for many reasons. Yes, there's a reason why it's still at the top of S tier.
Oh yeah. But then the epic highs are also contrasted by the down dirty lows. We get to see the true tyranny of the world noble.
We get to see
the world government.
We just specifically the world government in that case, because we haven't really even touched on just how fucking disgusting the world nobles are in this particular arc just yet. They're definitely just disgusting, but so are a lot of the people surrounding them at the same time.
Look, it's like
I think that's a good
even
placement.
when it's like, yes, we don't see the full sense of their depravity, but even once we look at just the world nobles presented here we look at them and we compare them to Arlong, we compare them to Crocodile,
everything we had seen so far,
all the other ones. They are without a doubt the weakest villains, physically, but they are so much worse morally.
And then, of course, the very fact of, we have to touch on it, the entirety of the Straw Hats crew essentially getting wiped out right there and then.
Yep, because this is when we learn, hey, this is what it means to declare war on the world government.
Not even just that. This is what it means to try to survive in the next rung of the ladder. They weren't ready for it at the time. Yeah,
I kind of say this is quite literally the Straw Hats for the first time fucking around and
finding
most importantly finding out.
Yeah, they fucked around and they found out very, very hard that they were not ready for the new world. Just the entire arc it's so good, and it hurts
short, but
so much.
So many punches.
Honestly, the way that this arc ends is my favorite.
In
the entire series.
It's a really good ending. It hurts so bad, but it's really well done.
Well, it's the first moment that actually made me my stomach sank. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Just and Kuma systematically just deleting the each member of the crew.
I will say this is our third and last Mihawk moment. Where the only reason the crew survived is because the person they were fighting did not feel like killing.
No, because Kuma really wasn't fighting them.
No.
Kuma had a plan.
I more mean, if Kuma was a genuine villain, this would have been the end of the series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with Aokiji. Same thing with Mihawk. If they were genuine villains who were out to destroy the Straw Hats, this is where they would have been ended.
It's very true. That's very true. We also have the introduction of Dark King Rayleigh, more information about what happened with Roger's crew back in the day, finding out that they know everything about the Void Century. There's so much that was just lore dropped in there that has been drip fed to us ever since, pretty much.
This is, I'd say, this is quite literally what Sabaody Archipelago itself is. This is the gateway to the next part of One Piece, but we're not going there yet.
It's a long gateway.
We got some stuff to wrap up.
There's a lot of gateway in between now and then.
yeah, I know. No, I mean, Sabaody Archipelago is the gateway.
Yeah,
and then they got
what you meant. I was
smacked away from the gateway.
I was just making a joke about how many arcs are there between now and when
literally
we go to the
4
other side.
arcs between Return to Sabaody.
That being said, Amazon Lily. Now,
it's B for me.
Is it B? If it's B, it's high B.
Yeah, I'd
it's
say
high B, but it's B.
Down.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Because it's the follow-up to Sabaody Archipelago. It's like Thriller Bark being the follow-up to Enies Lobby.
We also get nice. We also get a nice look into more into Luffy's psyche a little bit because he's pretending that everything's okay, but you can tell that he's also freaking out inside a little bit with the way things are going until he gets fully distracted by the whole situation with Hancock and the Amazons. I think of Amazon Lee, I mostly think of post Marineford. Yeah, unfortunately, I can understand that. That being said, it's got some really good moments in it. Just like him genuinely starting to make friends with some of the Amazons. The Conqueror's hockey moment, which was really good.
Yep, this is our first proper introduction to hockey. We got a glimpse of it with an L.
And a little bit of it in the beginning of Sabaody as well.
Yeah.
I would put it at low A if Hancock didn't look down on me so much, but yeah.
Yeah, I like Hancock. She's fine. Her personality definitely takes some getting used to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You understand the way that she acts, why she acts the way she does, because she's a former slave. But you know, it doesn't change it that much.
Yeah, it's like just because you understand why she's acting this way does not make it easier to sit.
Ma'am, I get it, but also Jesus Christ. Ever look so down on people she physically ends up looking upward? Yeah, that's such a good bit. And we also just have to address on the setup to going into Impel Down, because it's still part of any Amazon Lily, the fact that Ace truly is in danger, because we find out about it in Thriller Bark that something's up. We of course also during the post Enies Lobby arc, we forgot to mention, we get to see the fight between him and Blackbeard, though we didn't get to find out what the actual situation was until now.
The outcome of it.
Find out he lost. And now he's on the execution block, which is after going through what happened in Sabaody, Luffy's reaction is entirely correct.
Yep.
Because
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's just a lot.
And now he's like, I have to save him. I can't let this continue to happen to me. I need to go and get him. And Impel Down, if not a high A, is definitely at least low S. I would actually argue maybe about here.
Yeah. I
it's very good. I would say that's fitting.
Because we get introduced to one of the best characters in the entire series, which is Eva. Let's not fucking beat around the bush. Bon Clay comes back, which is amazing.
Bon Clay, baby.
Buggy
is
and
also
there.
Buggy comes back.
It's got Buggy.
We get to find out a bit more about Buggy, though I guess we did forget to say this back during Sabaody. We found out that Buggy was also on Gold Roger's crew.
Also, the moment we find out that Luffy is impervious to poisons.
No.
This is what gets him his practically impervious to poison, because he almost dies from a mixture of practically every single poison in existence. Impel Down above
that's tough.
You make a valid point, Killer, but at the same time,
I don't think it had enough emotion for me to put it above those.
I don't think it stands above Alabasta, but it may stand above Arlong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does have a lot of cool stuff in it, but cool stuff isn't the only like factor when it comes into Bon. Yeah, the situation with Bon Clay, the escape, Luffy's resolve, sort of like pretty much getting him killed. Let's not beat around the bush. Had it not been for Eva, that would have been the end of the series. Luffy would be dead.
It didn't actually set up a lot.
It didn't set up a ton
in terms of like what Alabasta did.
I can feel above Arlong Park at least. I can argue this. Like honestly, they're pretty much in the exact same spot in my opinion. But Impel Down does kind of take it a little bit more because there's a lot more going on. We know what's coming afterwards. It's going to be a big thing. And also the breakout scenes are just so much fun. And of course, it's the reintroduction of Crocodile. Croco Boy comes back, and we find out, oh, he's got a secret, which the theories behind it have a lot of merit, and I'm fully for it. Now Marineford. Oh, where to put Marineford? I legitimately am asking that question. Where?
That is so tough.
It's an S. I would argue it's an S tier arc. Like in no joke.
I want to say it's below Sabaody.
Below Sabaody, but above. Yeah, I can see that. Right below Annie's Lobby.
It's one or the other. It's below Innies or below Sabaody, and Sabaody I think hit me harder.
I think but I think the thing that really pushes it a little bit above Sabaody for me is the fact that we actually get to experience genuine loss with Luffy. Because when Ace dies, that was
post-war does that for me. Like that's what hit.
Well, yeah, but after Ace passes and after there's nothing anybody else can do, Luffy just shuts down. Like this isn't him fully reacting to the situation yet. He doesn't know how to process it. And that's what puts me a little bit above Sabaody at the time, because he got the chance to process the fact that all of his crew had been basically wiped out in what he believes, essentially.
Yep.
I gotta.
If I included post-war with Marineford, I would agree with this. But post-war is where I really felt the devastation of Marineford.
Yeah, and that's fair. Impel Down also probably would jump a little bit higher above Alabasta because Junbei.
I'd honestly still put Marineford above Sabaody, purely because on top of it being a Luffy moment, it is also, once again, this is the top of the ladder. We are actually seeing.
Yeah, this is where Luffy is Luffy is completely out of his element through the entire thing. Like
that's where they're equal for me. Sabaody was also top of the ladder.
Yeah, and I would argue that this was how it would look. So we got Marineford post-war, like kind of together, kind of like Chair is saying. You can't really separate the two, so they're like together as one big thing that just kind of elevates above Sabaody in a way. The death of Whitebeard, finding out that Blackbeard somehow is able to get a fucking second devil fruit. Thank you, Killer, for reminding me of that. Like, there's so much that happens in Marineford. The only thing that drags it down slightly is the anime's penchant for wasting time.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, they dragged it out for sure.
Like, it doesn't feel as long on a rewatch when you know what's happening and you know what's going on. But the first time you watch it, it feels like it takes forever.
Oh yeah.
They didn't drag it out as long as Alabasta's war, but it was dragged out.
Either way, something that I feel like does elevate Marineford above Sabaody is because part of it being a Luffy moment is it showing that sometimes just being persistent isn't going to be enough.
Yeah. You need to have the strength to back it up in many cases.
Yeah, this is the most bullheaded, stubborn, and unwilling to give up that he's ever been, and he still failed.
Well, no, he doesn't truly fail. That's the big thing. He actually does succeed. It's just unfortunately his brother has got the fucking most bullheaded stubbornness that it could ever exist, because he decided to turn back and face down a guy who was just bad-mouthing a dude who already said leave.
Yeah, the fact that it was the really what makes Marineford for me is what Killer said, and it's the final fight of Whitebeard.
Yes.
That stands out to me as the only thing that could put it above Sabaody, because
they put so much.
I like the realization in Sabaody that they couldn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
And Luffy knew it. Like, that was just
to the point where he was literally like,
me.
"Yeah, we need to run." Was something.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a hell.
It's
of a
not
moment.
something you see often from Luffy.
Yeah.
But Marineford was back to that hard-headed. I'm gonna do it. Like, it's normal Luffy.
Well, no,
also,
not even really. This was desperate Luffy. That's what this was.
Yes.
Yeah, he was desperate,
Like,
but
he'd already.
Luffy's never been the type to think strategically and say we can't handle it.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Also, something else is that this is where we really get to see Doflamingo, not just as a brief introduction, not just as him fighting, but also his statement about what this situation really is. It's not just Luffy and Ace. It's not just Luffy. It's not just Ace. It's not just Whitebeard. This is basically the fate of the world for the next generation.
Pretty much, it is. He has a very good moment in both on the page. Both voice actors do a great job of it. Just the declaration of this war will define what justice means for the future. Because will justice win? Of course it will. Both sides think they're right. And the winner will be the one that decide what justice means in the end. We also get a very brief look into just how big of a fish Shanks is, considering, he stopped a whole ass war by himself. A great moment with Kobe, who would have definitely
was a good moment.
Who would have definitely been dead had it not been for Shanks. Just in general, like, Marineford is it's a really good arc.
And it is a turning point arc.
Mm-hmm. And the post-war arc is just as good. The flashback it's not really all that much changing situation, because with the sake cups, even in the manga, there's a little bit of a shadow of a third sake cup that you can see when we're looking at it in Marineford. So Sabo didn't just come out of nowhere, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Like
Eagle-eyed fans had nailed that within the moment that it was posted. Like, hold up. Is that a third cup we see?
Yeah, Oda had been thinking about Sabo. Does it mean that I like where Sabo essentially went a little bit later? Meh. He's becoming his own character now, though, so that's all that matters.
He's getting his own thing. Yeah.
He's getting his own thing. Sabaody. I do like Sabo. Didn't care for Kid Sabo, though. That's fair.
Yeah.
The return to Sabaody.
I'll be back. Gotta take dog out.
Okay.
Also, return to Sabaody.
Go ahead.
I'd say below Arlong Park, above Reversement.
So you're saying S tier. What about you, Rob?
I'm saying it's up there, man. Oh god,
Okay.
I'm saying it's above Impel.
You can tell you can tell that we're One Piece fans, because look how many things are in the S tier.
I wouldn't put it above Impel Down or Arlong Park is because it's not as emotionally charged.
Yeah, this is more of a return of the crew, showing off how strong they've become.
That's where the emotion was, just knowing that where they needed to go, what time they needed to go.
I know.
Oh.
Anyways, I'll be back.
I would if it's not like this portion of S tier, it's either here or it's here. Like top A tier, bottom S tier.
I will agree I will agree. Top A tier.
Okay.
I can look past it.
Yeah,
and say my only like real hit for that was at the beginning of the arc. Like the start of it was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, it didn't. You're right. It didn't really have a whole lot of like.
It did not a major amount of
moments.
Yeah, stuff really happened. We got to see a little brief glimpse of just how strong most of the crew has become. We got a reintroduction to a couple characters. A lot of fan service was happening during it. The song from Brooke, who had become a fucking world-renowned like pop artist at the time, was so good.
It's such a feel-good arc.
It's just it's a fun feel-good arc to calm us down from what happened in post-war, show that the crew's ready, and getting us going into Fishman.
And show that Zoro can be in the right place at the right time. It's possible.
I mean, to be fair, he kind of was brought there by Perona.
Yeah, but still.
Anyway, but yeah, just Brooks' wanted poster later on being revealed to just be his fucking his fucking concert poster is still amazing. Fishman Island. It's not the worst arc in the series. I won't say that. I don't think it's C tier because there's a lot of fun that happens. But Horty Jones just drags this arc so down for me. He is such a nothing villain. Like, I understand.
I'm not gonna lie, Jinbei was my only real thing, and then the weapon.
Like,
overall
finding out about
and the poneglyph, like the overall story plot stuff. It was good.
A lot of people do give Fishman Island shit, and honestly, the only thing that drags it down for me is just Horty Jones himself. The villain sucks, and not in the way that he was supposed to suck. Like, the whole of the new Fishman Pirates were just there to truly show off how much more powerful the Straw Hats have become. That's literally was their only business for being there. We got a little bit more world building, of course, because we got the introduction to Shirahoshi being Neptune, or I mean, Poseidon.
We did get
something like that. One of the weapons.
We got Hachi.
We got Hachi back.
Hachi was nice.
We got Jinbei showing up and kind of joining the crew, but not really joining the crew. It was a fun arc. They kind of made this more into a post-return to Sabaody arc. Well, no, because it's got enough stuff going on in it that makes it its own arc. It's the fact that Horty just keeps going. And not in a way that's
it was really building on Arlong. I mean, it and like showing, okay, this is the race of people. Let's continue to tell this Fishman story.
And learning more about the Fishman's history was good. I enjoyed that part. It's just the only thing that sucks is Horty himself. That's it. He's such a nothing villain. I think
that's good placement.
Like, he's so bad of a villain that he literally lost to Zoro before Luffy even met him. And if it wasn't for drugs, he would have probably been dead.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Yeah, I think it's very good placement.
The arc to show off his power and such. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a proper placement for it. Like, maybe above Logtown because it's got some fun moments, but in the B tier regardless. Punk Hazard. I don't know how I feel about Punk Hazard entirely. It's a good setup arc.
It's okay.
It's not the best. It's not unwatchable by any means.
I think it sets up enough that it does warrant being a high B.
Yeah, I agree. We get Law coming back, which is really good. Punk Hazard felt a bit unfocused. Yeah, that would be it. It's just it didn't have a lot of focus on what it wanted to be, more attempting to fully set up the next coming arc in more cases than one, and of course set up our next big villain along with it, being Kaido, since we find out that Don Flamingo is like working for Kaido in some way, shape, or form, selling a lot of stuff to him, being a major player in the black market, just that sort of thing. like Cher says, it feels unfocused. Does that mean it's got doesn't have any good moments in it? No, of course not. It does. I mean, one of the best moments is Law literally cutting an entire mountain, entire mountain in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does Caesar suck? Yes, a lot. Did Smoker get his ass handed to him? Oh God, so many times. But we also got we also got a really proper introduction to Don Flamingo too. It's just
it's great setup for Don Flamingo.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Dressrosa. Oh no. Okay. So I'm gonna preemptively do this, but we will move as we need to. But it is low A tier, in my opinion, and that's I say that like that's a bad thing. This is fucking A tier, but
it's
it is.
It's A tier. It's still good. It's long. It's drawn out, but it's overall not bad.
This is what Alabasta would be if Crocodile had won. Before the Straw Hats even got there.
It is thought out.
It is thought out.
It isn't as like all over the place as Punk Hazard.
Right. It's solidified in what it's trying to do, which is taking down Don Flamingo. That is the big goal here.
Yeah.
Just
He's
above
my
Little
favorite
Garden?
villain.
Yeah, I can see it being above Little Garden. I can agree to that.
I would.
I can agree to that.
Because I mean just Don Flamingo himself, I think, does that for me, because he is such a good villain.
Yes, he's a great villain. Like, Don Flamingo by no means is a bad villain whatsoever. He's a little stupid in the way that he handled a couple of things, but what One Piece villain isn't? The mini tournament arc was a bit rough. I don't super care for Little Garden IMO, but I respect the choice there. It's a good little mini arc, and it introduces a lot of fun stuff that we get to play more on in the future. It's that intrigue that Little Garden built up is what makes it A tier for me. Because you get the Elbaf drop, we find out giants exist. We find out there are islands out there that could have dinosaurs on them. All sorts of funny shit is just introduced. Rebecca, like, I like her. I love the girl. She's great. But also, man, does she drag the arc down a little bit.
Yeah, she's kind of mid for me.
She's a little mid. She's no Vivi.
Like, if I had to put her, if I had to put her up against Vivi, no chance.
Not a chance in hell. We get a little bit of moments for all of the Straw Hats, with the attack on the Sunny, Sanji actually kicking and sort of putting up a little bit of a fight against Don Flamingo there for a bit. The introduction of the fact of, like, the Big Mom pirates coming after him because of the whole declaration of war back on Fishman Island. You don't like Vivi much? Oh, how could you kill her? I thought we were going to be friends.
I also don't really like Vivi, but I will say she's in a landslide in comparison. Like, Rebecca's just nah.
I mean, she basically just started feeling like a Straw Hat. The duck.
Yo,
Picado
I love her
so
duck
good,
now. Back
though.
off. Yeah, back off the duck. Vivi, we can talk trash about, but the duck.
No, we can't.
Nah.
How dare you even begin to attempt to say that? No, we can't. Anyway, but yeah, just
and the whole duck squad. No, come on.
The introduction of Gear 4 is still probably one of the hypest moments up until, well, 2 arcs from now. And of course, Wano. You roasted for the first time, so we prepared that duck. You wouldn't be able to finish him. He's too big.
He would probably
have
be tasty.
Gear 4 was so hype, and it's so fun. Like, looking back on Gear 4, yeah, it's like an epic transformation moment, but also, God, Gear 4 is so funnily ridiculous.
It also, like, it kind of, like, is his first form that took, like, monkey-like traits, which I liked.
Yeah, he definitely goes more into the Sun Wukong kind of look to him.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's fun that we kind of got a little bit of hints for his awakening through the Gear 4 ones, because he gets the little like the ribbon, the hanging ribbon thing around him, you know?
Yeah.
Which is like a key feature of his soon to be Gear 5th. And just like there's so many hints that he's definitely more than just a Logia at that point, but none of us picked up on it until it was too late. I mean, more than a Paramecia. It was well enough hidden that we just thought that it was weird that his body transformed the way that it did, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That being said, I really do wish the fight had ended during the first usage and we didn't get that whole running away from him for 10 minutes thing. It set up a lot of fun stuff in the in-between, and we had more tension with the birdcage, but at the same time, it did feel like it drew back from that big reveal a little bit. I mean, I might be in the minority on that, but, you know.
I didn't think the birdcage was that imposing. I'm gonna be real.
I mean, it was imposing, but at the same time, it's just nah. The Frankie Senior Pink fight is one of the highlights of the arc. Yes.
That is a very good fight.
It is a very good fight,
great.
And the backstory for Senior Pink is genuinely heartbreaking.
It's just like that's classic Oda.
That's just classic.
That felt good.
It just Oda really knows how to make you care about things that you don't think you should care about. Zoe is, I want to say that Zoe is, if not low A, into high B, because Zoe is a setup arc. That's what Zoe is.
I love it.
It's great.
It is the coolest island, but arc wise,
but it's just a setup. It is a setup for Wano, and that is it. Yeah. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Again, being in B tier doesn't mean it sucks. For both Whole Cake and Wano, yeah. But it's here we learn about the fact that there's something more going on with Sanji than we could have ever thought about. And the reveal of what it was is still insane to me to this day. And wonder, I still wonder if Oda actually planned that out for the reason why his bounty looked like that, or if it was just a joke he turned into a story. Because while at one point I definitely subscribed to the, Oda is the best writer ever, and he definitely thinks about 10,000 like steps ahead of everybody else and all that. Like, no, he definitely has times where he writes by the seat of his pants. The thing is that he's really good at it. He's good at making things fit.
It was also done way smoother than Punk Hazard's setups were.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's a good spot.
I think it's 50-50, a thing he planned and so far in advance. Yeah, it's 50-50 on it. That being like this one's probably going to be a little contentious, and I can see some people getting mad at me for it. I like Whole Cake. I like Whole Cake a lot. Does it drag a little bit? Yeah. Mama. Katakuri makes this arc.
Man, I missed some shit.
Yeah, you did. Katakuri makes this arc so good. The whole fight between him and Luffy, it feels like it drags on a bit, but that is like peak One Piece combat right there. And also just the whole thing with Sanji's backstory and the cake and all that. There's so many good things about this arc. When it comes down to it.
Dang, I don't know if I'd put it above all that, it's good. It's good. I will admit it.
I believe it's a fair spot, but I will listen to arguments otherwise.
It's fair. It's just I don't know. The return to Sabaody was like so good for me.
Yeah.
And post Eni's lobby was also a really good setup.
In high S tier, but yeah, because you just hey, there you go. Killer is another Sanji appreciator. He's on your side.
I love Sanji so much.
That's actually the reason that surprises me. You would argue that Sabaody is better because Whole Cake Island is essentially Sanji's arc.
It is essentially, but it's not. I think it's not enough about Sanji for me to like throw that into S.
Yeah,
Like I can't say because I love Sanji, but I can't outweigh what the arc did for just Sanji.
Then we got Big Mom's backstory and the confirmation in the manga. I'm gonna tell you right now, it was up in the air on whether or not she actually ate her family back then. The anime fucking said, "Yup, yeah, she did."
Mm-hmm.
Which is just
who's your number one killer? I gotta know.
Well, if it's not Zoro.
Who are your number ones? I don't know if I've ever asked you two.
Robin is. You know what? That's not a bad choice. Personally, my favorite character, and it sounds basic because that's how everybody views it when you choose it like this. I love Luffy. Luffy's just so much fucking fun.
Yeah, no shame. Yeah.
Like he is so different from other like main characters out there.
He really is.
He's just so much fun.
I agree with Robin. That's a good one.
That is a good choice.
Law is my favorite though.
Law is great.
Technically, I would say Law's and mentor, and like basically
Rosinante. I mean, you don't hear people talking about Luffy saying that Luffy's their favorite, but it's kind of proven that he really is because every time a character poll has been put out, even when they put it out to the entire world, Luffy was number one. Every time. He has never lost a character poll. He has always been number one on the list.
He's very lovable.
He's great. He's a good, well-made, dumb character. This is how you make a character that is stupid. This isn't Goku levels of just, what do you mean he doesn't know what a kiss is? He's married. He's just...
Yeah, it's honestly, I'd have to weigh it as Kid Goku from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball, like Goku, is completely different from what they took him into Z.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Whole Cake. Do you agree with the placement of Whole Cake, Tamer?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Hey.
I'll agree.
Hey. We get our nice little introduction into what we are expecting to do to fight when it comes to an Emperor of the Sea.
Yep.
Which is horrifying because, you know, we're literally going into one of those, going to fight a different one here in a bit.
But first, we gotta get through the Reverie.
Say me on a personal note many times, she's the best, and well, I would say I would protect her. Who am I kidding? She wouldn't need your protection. You know what? Yeah.
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 Yeah, she doesn't need it.
She doesn't.
Who are you saying she?
Robin. Robin doesn't need to be protected.
Yeah, she'd protect you.
Yeah, that's exactly what Killer Chair is saying. The Reverie.
Yeah, and Wano just sealed that as well. It's just like so good.
Oh, the Reverie.
I need to think about how I want to handle the Reverie with my knowledge that I have.
Not. Okay. I will say, I think that we should probably count the other half of the Reverie as part of Egghead Island.
I didn't want to
know
say
they're
too
gonna
much
revisit.
Sorry.
I know they're gonna revisit because there's so much we don't know about what happened at the Reverie.
Yeah, and we get a little bit of setup with Sabo saying "in the throne." Like we get a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's just.
It was made her overtake Sanji for you. Oh damn! Yeah, she's got a really good moment in Wano.
Yeah, it's just like imagine if half of imagine if half of Thriller Bark was only addressed in Saba in Marineford.
Yeah.
It's like at that point it's literally a completely different arc.
I wouldn't put it too high on the list because for the part of the Reverie that we see, it's not a lot.
It's set up.
Yeah.
It's set up, and you know it's set up. That's as far as it really goes.
We get a tease of what's happening.
I'd even put it below Logetown.
Would we put it?
But not below Fishman Island. It's because Logetown does a lot of immediate setup, while the Reverie does a lot of slow setup.
It's kind of like the Reverie is definitely more of an off-screen arc. Like we get told a lot about what happens during Wano, but we haven't seen it essentially.
Wano.
Oh.
D tier. I'm joking.
I was about to say, are you sure about that? I might be questioning our friendship all of a sudden. I need to fully re-experience it, to be totally honest. Because
I don't. It's under Annie's lobby for me.
Well, the fact that you're still putting it at S tier is...
I'd say either.
I was arguing with myself on whether it deserved S tier status or A tier status, to be totally honest.
For me, it's definitely S tier. The question for me is it above or below Marine 4? And I'm tempted to say above.
It's got so many good moments, which is not surprising considering how long it took to finish.
Yeah, it is literally like 3 arcs in one.
Pretty much.
It was longer than Dressrosa, but so much better.
Oh yes.
There's so much that happens during this arc. Like it's
like
the Gear Fifth moment, like, set aside, there's so much that happens.
We get to see Roger.
Full Roger flashback.
Yeah.
Oh no, I said there are spoilers up to Wano. We're talking about Wano.
I didn't know if Robbie was. Is Robbie fully caught up on Wano?
Yeah, he's been watching.
We're just not talking Egghead.
He's been watching Egghead Island with us, man.
Right. Sorry, brain's not functioning. Yeah, the full Roger stuff. The Roger versus Whitebeard fight.
Roger's actually finally seeing why Roger got King of the Pirates.
And still not really seeing what the treasure is. We now know it exists. We know it's not just some, it's the friendships we made along the way bullshit that everybody's been joking about for years. No, it is a real fucking thing.
And also, Odin.
Odin
was so fucking good.
Yeah, Odin was great, and even at the end of it all, setting up yet again that okay, the world government means fucking business, and also Shanks means fucking business.
But it's
at the same time, like
I think the whole reason why they were laughing about it wasn't because they've truly found it funny. It was implied that they were laughing because they were too early to use whatever is there. That's why they were all laughing about it. It was because, like, we made it, but it wasn't the right time, and that's really kind of funny.
I'll be honest, we don't really know what made it funny, because at the same time,
the way it's implied is that they were laughing because they were early.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, you'd think that if they were too early, there'd be some regret to it, but no, just bringing up, by the way, what'd you think of the last island? Oh, that was a fucking riot.
Oh, riot.
It's so confusing,
And like Killer Share said, Gear 5 literally just shattered what a shonen transformation is supposed to be.
Right.
And there are people out there who argue that it's too goofy, it's too funny. It's like, no, that's the fucking point. Luffy is a cartoon character.
Quite literally. Oda said it best. He was debating just how goofy he should make it. But then he's like, no, you know what? I've been focusing too much on hockey. I've been making this too much action. This is also a comedy.
It's supposed to be funny.
And Gear 5th is going to bring the goofy back to One Piece.
And it did. It was so good. I fucking love Gear 5th so much.
I really can only mark it for the same problems that I've marked others, and that it is in occasions dragged out a little bit.
I want to say that for right now, it feels like it drags on because we were watching it week to week. That's why I say I want to revisit it, because I want to see how it feels going in and being able to binge watch for multiple episodes at a time.
Yeah, just hit 4 episodes in one night.
Right.
Well, I mean, it still isn't a drag in moments.
Yes,
it's just simply the moment in which they're trying to chase Luffy down at the end. It took 5-6 episodes just for them to chase Luffy down at the end.
Jason, what do you mean, Chase?
What?
Kaido's
the whole goodbye.
The whole goodbye
was
just so
but that's
very drawn out.
That's post the post fight part like that. I feel like that was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
I
a
gotta
lot of it
include
is
it because there's no post Wano arc.
to be fair on it though, that was literally probably more the anime that does that. It really doesn't feel all that drawn out in the manga. I'll be totally honest.
That's why I say it's those same moments that I would complain about in every other. Like Alabasta had it, and like we've got that issue and throughout.
Alabasta
like the anime stretches.
I mean, not even just how evil Kaido is, but how durable Kaido is too. I won't go into it too much, but man, does Luffy and Kaido's fight put a lot of things in perspective for the rest of the world.
Oh yeah.
Let me fucking tell you. I won't go into it. I'm not gonna, but it really does. It does feel like functional dragging. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all functional dragging because they need it, and I like One Piece because it's the only anime that drags like that to pace for the anime.
Yeah.
Because they need a little time.
They
like
do.
those animators need time.
I still argue they didn't need the clip show episodes. And now I'm gonna address into that because going back and checking into Wano, there are so many clip show episodes that are like this is what's happened coming up to this point, and it's just been like there's only been like 5 episodes or so in between like the last clip show.
Yeah, and the worst time was when they did a clip show of Wano Country.
I mean, I skipped them too, Chair. It's just the fact that they exist.
Yeah.
I understand you need to pad for time to let the manga get out, but by that time, Egghead was way into the arc at that point. There's a lot of material that you got waiting for you, and you're still dragging out the final fight between Luffy and Kaido by throwing this clip show in here of Bartolomeo basically acting like a super fan.
It doesn't do my boy Bartholomew any good because it just makes people hate him more, and I'm not about it. Okay.
The use of him being the one to run the clip shows, I get it. It's a good choice. Just the placement of them. Like if that had been like at the end of the arc and we had maybe 1 or 2 clip show episodes, I think I would have been more fine with that.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to start animating a new arc before kind of seeing where it goes. I feel like the animation would have been fully done for Wano by that point, though. And they were just killing time. Well, I mean, considering the animation style we have for the Egghead Island arc at the moment, I can kind of see why it might be taking them longer because, good fucking God, Egghead looks real good.
It. I guarantee those clip shows were just put in place to give them a break.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with it.
And that's fine. I just feel like it could have just been like, why not just skip a week of showing? Why not just not show something that week? Instead, One Piece isn't going to be lost from the zeitgeist because you skipped a week of airing. Oda goes on like a 4-week break at the end and beginning of every year for the manga, and it's still one of the highest selling just comic series in the world. Like, it's outsold Batman at this point. So, like, them just taking a week off and not having an episode premiere would not make people not want to come back for the next episode. One Piece is way too much in the zeitgeist to be lost because they skipped a week of airing. And that's it. You know?
Oh yeah, there's no killing One Piece, not just like that. They would have to have an absolutely horrible ending for it to happen at this point.
Like everything would have to go wrong for One Piece to lose out. The context is it could decide how and why things are animated certain ways. Yeah, I mean that's Toei in a nutshell. Unfortunately, though, is they make some weird decisions when it comes to how they do filler. Sometimes they make a really good filler, like G8, which isn't on this tier list because it's technically not canon. But if it was, it'd be an S tier.
Okay, without spoilers, right? We gotta at least see what you guys would say. Where currently would you put Egghead without talking about it?
At the current moment, where I would put Egghead above Eni's Lobby. That is where Egghead would be for me.
Good, promising.
I can't. Like you said, I can't go into details. Where would you and I put Egghead Island on this list if it wasn't in the recency bias?
not gonna lie, I would be tempted to put it above Eni's Lobby so far.
I'm not.
Hot damn.
I am not tempted to put it above Eni's Lobby. I will put it above Eni's Lobby.
Yeah. Just even what we've seen already.
Oh, I haven't
like
even told you about the latest chapter yet, have I, Tamer?
Oh God, no, you haven't.
I
No,
will
you
later.
haven't.
Not right now, of course, but I
Oh,
will
that's
later.
gonna hurt.
It-
That's gonna hurt when you do.
It may not. Who knows?
Oh,
Dude.
yeah, not gonna lie. Just, oops, sorry.
The current arc is so good for so many reasons, and I can't go into details because I'm not the kind of person that's going to go spoiling things for the anime only watchers.
Well, by the way, something that I'd say is that just from what's been on the anime so far, or am I allowed to bring up Leloucha Kingdom?
Yeah, it's already gone.
Okay,
What do you mean?
yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, what are you talking about? That island's not real.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you speak
The
of.
erasure of Leloucha
It was
Kingdom alone,
such-
I think would put it above Marineford.
It's just that moment
Well, that's like one checkbox.
That's one checkbox, exactly. But it really brings in what Leloucha's destruction was bringing into perspective exactly the kind of threat we should expect from the world government, who up
Yeah,
until
it's
that
like-
point had started to not feel like that big of a deal.
Yeah, like, this is... it really just brings into mind, like, hey, I know that we've said that we're approaching the end game, but we're approaching the end game, and the world government is the one who's actually at the end. You might have hated the Celestial Dragon, but
They've been
behold,
building for the world government for so long.
Yeah, but
Like-
subtly, that was the thing. This just put it right
Yeah.
out there.
yeah.
I won't go too far into it, but it's been fun being on the other side of the current feelings that the anime only watchers have been having at the moment from the latest episode. I don't watch a lot of reaction channels when it comes to this, but going in and watching people who have not read the manga whatsoever reacting to the latest episode at the end has been a treat that I will treasure for the rest of my life. Because I know exactly how they feel, but I know more now. It's so good. And I can't wait for the next episode because it should start to address that whole situation, depending on how far they go in. But they should. They should be fine.
So we watching Long Ring after this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Bye.
Cool.
That being said, I wonder if the new episode is even out yet. It might be. If it is, then we can watch that directly after we're done with the episode.
Yeah.
With this. But yeah, no. Egghead, there's a lot to look forward to. I'm just gonna say it. That's the most that I'm gonna say. Is there's a ton to look forward to. It should technically be tomorrow, but I think it actually drops at like 10 p.m. for us. It's not out now. What time did we watch it last time? Do you guys remember?
It was later. It was like
yeah, it was
11 or 10.
11 or 10, yeah.
Something like that.
So yeah, like on Crunchyroll, it's usually out around that time period.
So in a few hours.
Yeah. It's oh boy. Yeah, no, I keep saying it, and it's still gonna be true, no matter what. Anybody who has only just been focusing on the anime, been able to avoid spoilers on the internet because I'm sure they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Egghead Island has probably been one of the best arcs, bar none, so far. And it has not felt like it's truly like it's had moments of drag. I will admit that it's had a couple of moments of drag, but none that feel like they take down the arc in any way.
Well, you have to have some for
Exactly.
pacing.
It's gotta have
it needs pacing.
And it's just so much that happens. That's the most that I can say over and over again is so much has happened in this arc, and that it's practically dizzying in some cases.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, killer.
Yeah, you guys, I felt the same way for a long time. I thought Wano would be the one that would finally topple Eni's Lobby for me, and it wasn't. But this one is, It's just only Tamer understands, and maybe a couple of people that are watching, who are thankfully not spoiling, understand as well. But it's oh my god, it's something. Anyway, yeah. So that is the tier list. That actually went a little bit faster than I expected. Turns out we agree on a lot more things. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Long Ring Long Land would have somebody argue for it.
Look.
No shot.
The only thing that we have to argue for it is something we also all agree, and we still agree it belongs in D tier.
Yeah.
And that is Aokiji.
Like when I get to Long Ring Long Land, I skip to the Aokiji part.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I really wish you were a manga reader. Like,
sorry.
I know, and I'm not. I don't hate you for it. It's just like, God, there's so much I would love to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it. I get it.
I mean,
that's how I feel when I watch an anime and I'm ahead of somebody,
yeah.
Like, and they haven't seen it.
And they're not the kind of people like Tamer who's just like, yeah, just tell me. Because Tamer doesn't really have another way of pulling in this info. Good to see Zero. Yeah, it's Syrup Village is just not that strong. I love Usopp. Usopp's great. I don't like Syrup Village all that much. They need a companion down there. Like, there's a small argument that it could be somewhat rewatchable, but if I have the choice, I would skip Syrup Village. And the only reason I really watched it recently was because I was watching it with Turtle and King, and that was about it.
Yeah. But it should be noted that, as Big stated, there is no true F tier.
No, there's no true F tier.
Are watchable.
There's
nothing that we just cannot watch.
Right.
Absolutely no chance.
Like, I mean, it just shows how good this is that most of the arcs are in S to A tier. And honestly, even the B tier ones are just not that bad whatsoever. They're just kind of middle of the road or a little bit above. And yeah, even longer. Like, I don't mind Foxy. I feel like he was way overused in the anime, which is why I have such a low opinion of the arc. But I still love the comedy.
You didn't like Spa Island, bro?
I didn't even watch Spa Island. So yeah, let me tell you. I skipped that shit. Like, I can tell this wasn't canon.
But Foxy came back.
The Zoro and Sanji match was funny. And then them like working together just because they commonly hated a situation was always good. There are good merits to Long Ring Long Land. I will not argue that. Will I continue to skip it upon rewatches of the series? Absolutely. I think the only time I really started watching through it was back when me and Tamer were like watching the series to help with the explanation streams I was doing, for King and Turtle at the time.
I watched that shit forcibly week to week when it was releasing.
See, I didn't.
Okay. It was awful. I was like, okay, maybe they'll be done with this. Nope. Okay.
No, it really outstays its welcome in the anime. It really does.
By the way, hey, fun fact, while we were talking about the erasure of Lucia, I started checking the comments and someone made a really good point about the scene. That scene was the Goro says nothing happened moment.
Yeah, in a weird way, it was. In a much darker tone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, rank all of the filler arcs. You know what? If one exists, I would. But you know what we also could do? If we want to keep going for a little bit.
What's that?
Hold on, let me save this. That's fine. We could do a Devil Fruit / Devil Fruit users tier list for a little bit if we wanna. It's a raid! Yo, Sonny, thanks for the raid, dude.
Hi, Sonny.
We just finished. We just finished up the the ranking, and now we might do another one. Do we want to do like a users list or a devil fruit list?
You guys can if you want. I'm gonna go.
Not
grab
gonna lie,
food.
I'm actually.
Yeah, no, I was
myself.
mostly kidding. So we actually are wrapping up. Sorry for you to raid in, only to be raided out. Who's doing stuff? Let's see.
But the devil fruit tier list and like an opening tier list would be fun.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Yeah, sometime in the future for sure. Let's see. Who's
Yo.
David Doge. The only good thing about 4Kids.
It's so fucking good.
Is the fucking opening. I don't want to raid anybody playing Pow World, so we're not doing that. I'm sorry. I can't
not gonna
bring myself
lie.
to it.
I'm not a fan of those kinds of parody games.
Well, it's not even that. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that's also really terrible about it too. To just go into it briefly, there's a lot of barely covered up theft of existing Pokemon designs, not even a little bit covered up theft of Fakemon designs from people within like the art community of Pokemon. There's also the fact that apparently the creator is all in on AI shit at the same time. There's so many things that it's shady as hell. I don't want to support it. I'm not gonna rag on anybody who enjoys it. If you have fun, you have fun. Go for it. I'm not gonna touch it in any way, shape, or form if I can. Is anybody over in V Magic live? I want to see.
At the end of the day, I get it. They'll eventually, if they are doing shady shit, they will be forced to cease and desist. Like, no doubt. Nintendo doesn't play.
I think the thing about it that I'd really love to see is, that I kind of, well, I shouldn't say love to see, that I kind of expect is that it's just gonna fall the same way that any other like pretending to be like Pokemon game is gone, and it's just gonna fall to the wayside. Like right now it's the big hot thing because it's Pokemon but it's edgy and it's got guns in it.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be able to stick around past that.
And you can enslave the Pokemon.
And you can apparently catch people. I saw a clip where apparently you can catch a person as well. I immediately got rid of the clip, but that's another thing. It's all weird.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it because it's just another survival aspect kind of game, and I don't need another one of those.
Yeah, but again, no judgment, and if you enjoy it, no judgment if you're playing it. I personally will not be touching it at any way in the future. We're going to be raiding into Marble Choco. She is a lot of fun. I actually have a collab stream with her tomorrow with a couple of other people. We're going to be playing Lethal Company. So go over there, give her some love, give her some follows. Thank you for being here for us to rant about One Piece arcs for 2.5 hours. Woo! I definitely want to do something like this again in the future. Doesn't have to be One Piece related, but we can definitely look into some stuff to do. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you. Goodbye. Get off of my ship. Ah!
No.
Get the hell off my ship. Bye.
And I'm gonna hop off.
Bye, bad watchers.